Hey, how's it going? This week's DIY project for me is to install vinyl plank flooring in my son's bedroom. So stick around and I'll show you how to install it like a pro. Welcome back, I'm Chris Kuzak, and on this channel I cover DIY projects and homeowner solutions to everyday problems. So if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. It's absolutely free. When my wife and I bought this fixer-upper house over 5 years ago, it had a mix mash of different types of flooring. And I don't know about you, but I can't stand that. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about it. Anyway, the floor in the main living space was one of the first projects we did. We actually bought enough for the whole house, knowing that we would eventually replace it all. Well, I'm now just getting to the bedrooms. Honestly, renovations on a fixer-upper aren't always limited by the money. Time to get everything done can be a real struggle, especially when life is going on around you. So sadly, there were other priority projects to do before this one. Let's just say my wife is extremely happy that I'm getting to it, finally, and my son is also really excited to have a new room. So I'm a huge fan of vinyl plank flooring for several reasons, but just to name a few, it's easy to install, it's affordable, it's durable, and I like the look of it. I think it looks great. So if you're feeling a little intimidated by installing it yourself, let me just show you how easy it is. As with any flooring install, the prep is the most important part to ensuring that you get a good looking result. It's important to make sure that the subfloor, or the surface you're installing it over, is solid and true. If the floor flexes too much, it can cause the connection between the planks to come loose or break. Also, because vinyl is so thin, you need to make sure that the surface is true, because over time you'll see every little ridge and dip as the flooring settles into place. The last step to prepping the subfloor is making sure it is clean. Sweep it, mop it, vacuum it, do whatever you need to do to make sure that it is spotless. The great thing about vinyl is that it can be installed over pretty much anything except carpet. Today I'm putting it over parquet flooring, which is actually in great shape, but we're just not a fan of the style. This next step will take your floor from good to great, and we haven't even opened a box of flooring yet. See what I mean by prep being the most important part? A great looking plank floor is one that is balanced, and what I mean by that is that the planks on opposite sides of the room against the walls are the same width. It will very rarely work out that you will be able to have a full plank on both sides of the room, and having a thin plank on one side and a full plank on the other just looks amateur. So to figure this out, measure the width of the room in inches and divide it by the width of an individual plank, which for me is 117 inches divided by a 6-inch wide plank. This will give you the number of planks needed to get across the room. The important part of this number is the decimal number. Take the decimal number only and divide it by 2 to figure out the width of the plank on either side of the balanced room. The problem with this number is that it will usually be less than 0.5, meaning a very narrow sliver of flooring on either side, which would look dumb and would actually be a huge waste of material. To solve this problem, simply add 0.5. I know it sounds crazy, but it works, trust me. In fact, stick around to the end to see if it actually works out. To get the measurement into inches, multiply the resulting decimal number by the width of an actual individual plank, which for me, in my project, it's 4.5 inches. This is the width that the first row of planks will need to be to have a balanced room. It is totally worth doing this, and it will actually elevate the end result. Another plus for vinyl is how easy it is to cut. All you need is a sharp knife and a straight edge. Simply score the top of the plank and then snap it off. For the first plank of Allure GripStrip, the down-facing grip strip on the left side of the plank needs to be cut off in addition to the starting width that we just did the math for. If this isn't done, then the plank will be thinner at the spot and it could settle and dip in the corner. When cutting the width, make sure that the cut edge is the one going against the wall. With GripStrip vinyl, this should always be the side with the down-facing grip strip. The up-facing grip strips will be used for securing the next row in place, which you'll see soon. Allure GripStrip needs to be laid from left to right, so start on the left corner of the room and lay additional planks toward the right. make sure to leave a small space between the plank and the wall for expansion and contraction. The general rule of thumb is that the space should be about the thickness of the flooring itself. So for vinyl, it doesn't actually need to be that much because it's relatively stable. It's a really stable material actually, but it does need to be there. When I get to the right side of the room, I like to use a method that doesn't require any measuring to cut the last piece. I just flip the plank upside down and mark where the edge of the last plank I laid is and cut it there. The edge doesn't need to be cut perfectly because baseboard trim will be placed over top of the cut edge, but do your best not to be sloppy with the knife. The cutoff piece can be used to start the next row as long as it isn't shorter than a few inches. I like to have a few different lengths of cutoff pieces at a time so I can choose the length I want to start a row with. If you always use the cutoff piece from the last row, you will end up with a stair step pattern. And you know, cool if you like that look, but I personally like the random look that makes it seem more like a hardwood floor. Unfortunately, this method results in a little more waste, but I think it's definitely worth it. The technique I use when laying grip strip vinyl is to start at the left side of the plank and roll the plank down towards the right, while being careful to keep the seams tight together. You want to avoid ugly gaps for dirt to get trapped into. A tricky part when laying any floor is cutting around heating and cooling registers in the floor. I find an easy way to cut the notches or blocks out of a vinyl plank is to use a pair of tin snips. Mark on the plank where the edges of the registers are and cut it out. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes the hole will need to be in the middle of a plank. And if this is the case, I use a drill to make a starting hole to cut from. Again, vinyl is pretty easy to cut and shape around things. The rest of the process is very repetitive, running row after row, keeping the seams tight, trying to keep the pattern random. Usually after a few hours, I like to slide my socked feet over the seams to really get the glue activated. But as you can see, I actually have some help with that part. I had to remind my helping hands and feet a few times to not walk on the grip strips, but all is well. Luckily for me, this is a small room because this can be hard on the knees and back. I like to take breaks to offset my position to avoid too much pain the next day. And I also have a good chiropractor. You better believe I'll be seeing him this week in the next few days. I guess I shouldn't forget to mention what I do around the door frames. The worst thing you can do is leave a space between the door frame and the vinyl floor. You actually want to put the vinyl underneath the door frame. And the easiest way to do this is to use what is called a jam saw. It basically lets you take a piece of scrap flooring, put it up against the door frame, and cut the exact thickness needed to slide the flooring underneath the door frame. If you're looking to add a power tool to your collection, a multi-tool with an oscillating blade on it will do the exact same thing. Now that I've made it across the room, let's see if my math worked out for the width of the first and last row. For the room to be balanced, this last row should be the same width as the first. So it should be about 4.5 inches, right? Look at that. Told you. All that's left for the floor is to finish off the closet. But that isn't the end of this small reno. I still gotta put the trim on the wall, so stay tuned for that upcoming video by subscribing. Well, I think that's it for this episode. I'd really appreciate if you like this video, if you've learned a few little tips and tricks to help you with your project. Every like goes a long way for others to find this video on YouTube, so go ahead and smash that button. Thanks for watching, and remember, dream it, fix it, build it. Later.